Welcome. This is T.O. from Over TLC Photography. We're back with episode 3. And we titled this episode In the Rut. Ever had that rut? Just trying to figure out what photos to take, or simply every time you touch your camera, it doesn't feel right. What do you do at that moment? How long you stay in that moment? This is a common issue amongst creatives across the board. And in our case, as photographers, we have to figure out how to get out of that rut. Some people stay a long time in that rut, and sometimes they just get so discouraged they don't even jump back into it. For me, I generally, I try to keep my mind going and spinning, and I do this by just, reading and purchasing photography books, just staying inspired and motivated by those before me and those that stand with me, as meaning present day photographers, investing in their work and seeing what they're doing and supporting them. I think we need each other to inspire our work. I love going to gallery shows with all mediums. It's just not just photography. It could be painting, it could be video work. The list goes on. And I go just to simply get inspired, to be inspired. And what are the things that you do to get out of the rut? Definitely put your comments down. I'm curious to see what you do, because I believe we can learn from one another, and those are sometimes questions I get asked a lot. Some people have different availability. Generally, what I do once a week, or maybe every other week, I make a photo day of myself. It's just a day for me and my photography. I go hit the streets of Buffalo. In some cases, I may decide to travel if the timing is right, and just hope for the best. But I always keep that camera right near me, because I think it's super crucial, super important in doing so. I've had the opportunities to have different conversations, with the folks, and different conversations with different photographers, and that conversation always leads to what inspires you, what keeps you going, what keeps you motivated. And the answers are very different, and I think your style of photography will make that determination how your creativity will flow and keep going. I have a couple of fashion photography friends. Their work are amazing. Just the concept that they come up with and the things that they present to the world is just amazing to me. For me, I look at their work and I'll be thinking, how do they do that? How do they put the pieces of the puzzle together to present this masterpiece to the world? I'm not a fashion photographer by no means. I'm a portrait photographer, and these conversations always pushes my work to the next level. It pushes it to the next level because it forces me to think outside of the box. And I think that's the most important thing for any photographer, mostly any creative, to sustain in their field, and also keep good work at hand and keep it going and keep it moving. And and it's funny because sometimes I have fellow photographers that simply don't want to have the conversation. They think the conversation is boring, they don't feel it adds anything, but I believe it adds something, because what you do might tweak my workflow. You might do something that's unique that I never thought of, or that's natural to you, or vice versa. So I'm always down to have the conversation. That's what this channel is about, that conversation, the conversation that people generally don't want to have. You know, that's how I got better over the years, just having conversations with my peers, having conversations with my elder respectfully, and just learning the game of photography, learning the history of photography, how it affects us today, you know, what we can do to make it better overall, you know. So I'm always willing to learn, always willing to motivate, inspire, and I love it in return with that. What is your inspiration? You know, and I think I always say, always have a project in mind. You know, on average, I generally have 2-3 projects that I'm working on, you know. And sometimes those projects will most likely will not see the light, but there's always one big project that I'm always working on. I'm always making sure that I'm doing all the steps that I need to make sure that project is ready to be released. My biggest goal is always to put my work on a larger scale, you know, making sure that it's in a gallery format. You know, that's my goal. So I'm always working and grinding to produce the best content, because putting your work in the gallery is a whole different ball game. It's a whole different monster. But you know what? I like to push myself and put myself in the space to achieve that specific goal. So that's always the thought process for me, as far as staying inspired and keep working. Develop those projects, 2-3 projects, you know, make sure you're consistently editing your work. And I say that because every day I'm always taking pictures, but I'm always challenging myself doing something that's so out the box, maybe overexposing a photo or underexposing, and seeing how well I could bring that picture back to life through editing, you know. So I'm always sharpening my skill sets, you know, and always reaching out to different folks and asking advice, you know. Having mentors, is so important as well. I can't emphasize that enough. That might even be his own video, you know, his own video. I'll definitely do that. There you go. I'll definitely make a video about mentorship, you know, how important it is, you know. And I think the sad thing is, just to dibble a little bit into it, I think that is lost, you know, because photography has become so competitive that, you know, the guys that were taught, they were apprentices at one point, you know, they are no longer giving that back to the community. Some do, but most of them don't, you know, for whatever different reason. And I'm not judging them by no means necessary. So with that being said, leave a comment, like the video, subscribe, check out the links to all the other platforms that I'm on, excuse me. I'll follow you back, I'll respond back. I'd love to hear what you have to say. What keeps you inspired? What are you doing to stay inspired? If you can answer those questions, I got my notebook out and I'm gonna be taking notes and making sure that, you know, I'm getting a little piece of your advice. With that being said, you take care, keep taking those photos. I'll see you to the next one. Peace.